Welcome to EduPlanet 21's 10-Minute Tuesdays, a series of conversations with experts in education. My name is Claire Coop-Scott, and I'm with the content team at EduPlanet 21. Today, I think we have a real treat for you. Our educational experts are students. Who better to share their knowledge than those who are in a learning environment on a daily basis? We are joined by students from CIA First International School in Cambodia. We were lucky enough to speak with their head of curriculum in a prior conversation, and he thought his students would have some excellent insight to share. CIA First has embraced both understanding by design and habits of mind in their school. I'd like to welcome Mia and CP, both 11th graders at CIA First. Welcome, girls. We're happy to have you. So what I'm hoping is we can start with each of you talking a little bit about yourself, how long you've been at CIA First, and kind of what brought you to that school.
Hello, I'm Chhorpoan Chhay. Many people have trouble pronouncing my name, so I just go by CP. Right now, I'm 16, and I'm in the 11th grade, and I've been in CIA First for 14 years of my life.
I'm Mia for short because no one can pronounce my name except my parents. And I'm also in the 11th grade. We're actually classmates, and I've been at CIA since 2016.
So can you guys share a little bit about the approach to learning at CIA First? Because I think it's different than many of us are used to.
The approach in CIA First is understanding by design. At first, since I was used to the traditional way of learning since the beginning, because at first CIA was also a traditional school, it was kind of hard because students were required to learn by themselves and build up on their knowledge through their personal research with minimum guidance from their teachers. And I struggled a lot in the beginning and I almost failed, but it taught me how to push myself to learn better. And it pushed me to find out new things that I thought I couldn't do before. So I think it's really helpful in terms of motivating students to become better.
Since I was like a recent student, more recent than CPR, I learned that a lot of the time we work on self-reflecting on what we do. And it's also about goal setting and setting your goals and finding a measurable way to do it to make sure that you achieve your goal. So it's a lot of self-reflecting, which made me more conscious of how I study at school and how I can apply that outside my school. Like I could use goal setting in terms of my life outside of school, like waking up early and developing a routine for school, before school and after school, and making sure that I do everything on time. And then having that ability and habit to always be self-reflecting keeps me in check of how well I can achieve something that I want to do. So yeah, there's that.
Can you give us maybe a specific example of something you're learning in a class right now and kind of what the approach is? I think sometimes an example is helpful.
Well, right now in class, since I'm taking many AP courses, so they don't really use habits of mind, but the one that I'm taking that is incorporating habits of mind would be English literature. In English literature, we studied about individual freedom and also responsibility towards others. And we are required to reflect that upon a play called The Glass Menagerie. And we have specific HOMs that target the way we reflect this theme of individual freedom versus responsibility towards others. And the habits of mind that we're currently using in class would be, it was thinking flexibly.
Yeah, thinking flexibly and applying past knowledge.
And it was seen that because we have these habits of mind to help us reflect along the way as we learn about the themes. We don't just learn the theme in the play, we also apply the theme in our life. We thought flexibly how to think about whether or not we should value individual freedom more than responsibility towards others. Sometimes in my household, I think about my habits of mind and I try to apply what I've learned to my daily life.
When you think about life after CIA First, and how how you've integrated the habits of mind and you've already applied it, how do you think it's going to help you, as you leave and go on to the next stage of your lives?
Right now, I'm thinking a lot about which university I can go to, and then I keep thinking about problems that could crop up with that, and I was thinking, questioning and posing problems. That's a very good HM to use in the case of what kind of problems would come up upon trying to get into university. And then also how to persist and keep looking for the right university that I want to go to. And then a lot of metacognition, thinking about my thinking, like examining and analyzing and evaluating what I'm actually good at, what my strengths and weaknesses are, and how that could propel me forward into deciding what course I want to take after high school. So that's one for me.
Mia's words are very wise, and although I do not apply the same concept with how I thought because I've already decided where to go, I think that I would just applying past knowledge once I get there to try to derive as much knowledge that I've gained from CIA First and use it to prop me up in my university.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit about how you think students could use habits of mind to be successful in school themselves?
I think that in different schools, sure, they have different methods of teaching, but using habits of mind really helps make the course better because it doesn't just teaches the student to follow the course, it teaches the student to reflect on how they've taken the course. So it's like they know specifically what kind of habits they're using within the course so that they can help to further accomplish their habits and further develop their habits so that they could complete other courses in the same behavior or manner so that they receive better results. So students, usually they're not helpless all the time, but they're kind of lost into knowing how to think for certain courses. Like sometimes you're lost in math. Like, do I learn this just for my passing the test? Do I just apply the formula, or can this be applicable to real life? So that's why we need the habits of mind to reflect on how the courses can help with the real life problems and situations. So it's really, really recommended for schools to use habits of mind.
Okay. Building on what she said about different schools having different learning approaches, like I mentioned earlier, CIA adopts an unconventional learning method with using a lot of our devices and using the internet for classroom, like Google Classroom and whatnot. So a lot of resources are available. And then one thing that should be considered is how each student learns. Sure, different schools apply different learning methods, but individual students may need more attention than others in terms of how they can learn better in the way that they understand best. And that is, I think even the teacher would be able to apply the habits of mind in that sense in how they can teach their students better, especially in classrooms of a certain amount of individuals. Yeah.
They think flexibly.
You have shared some outstanding information with us, and I really appreciate it. I just wanted to see if there was anything else you were hoping I would ask, or anything else you wanted to share with our viewers before we close our conversation.
So I would like to say that although completing our journals is sometimes a burden because of our time constraints, we recommend you to not procrastinate when it comes to practicing your habits of mind, when it comes to filling out your journals, because if you procrastinate, you'll forget if you even use that habits of mind. So a note to the people with the habits of mind journal is to not procrastinate and write your thoughts immediately before it's gone.
Well, girls, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it. And I wish you good luck as you finish up your last year and a half at CA First and move on to the next phase of your life.
Yes, thank you.